Okay, so we're back. You guys have now left the sawmill, lumber mill, whatever kind of mill it is, with the not really the pretense, but under the kind of guise that you are actually gonna be helping out Lord Carlington in a different way than what you'd originally wanted to do. So not just looking for his daughters, but also doing something else.
Yep.
Oh no,
And
I've got a plan. I can relay it to everyone now.
okay, so you guys are outside. You're kind of walking away from the place, and you can kind of like speak to each other.
Yeah, right. So
That worked a lot better than I thought it was gonna.
I'm amazed. The personally,
Those
I mean,
staff are dumb.
my grand idea is that we find out whoever these idiots are who don't like the forest, and once we find out who they are, we're gonna have a look.
Who do
We're
like
gonna
the
have-
forest?
Yeah, we're gonna find the people who do like the forest,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna see if they can sponsor this bird, and if they can sponsor this bird more than Lord Carlington's willing to sponsor this bird, then we take their side and just fuck everything up. Whereas if these guys are willing to pay more,
I am Jonas, and I approve of this message.
if we can get these guys to pay more, then fuck them. They're a bunch of hippies.
As you're kind of saying
Now we're
that,
saving the forest, so it's spiritually better.
Yeah, plus a good helping the underdog story goes well to building renown.
yeah, as you say that, Mira just kind of looking at you, and she's like, I just want to help people. I don't want to cause any more problems. I don't want to cause any
Well, see, what we have
conflicts.
here, Princess, is a conflict. We have two people that don't want the same thing. And so
Mira, have
we
you
to
ever-
decide which one of them is better
And,
for us to help?
Irrelevant of the monetary terms. Obviously, the money helps, but I would be very much inclined to assist these people that are trying to shut down the lumber.
Yeah,
mill.
she's kind of saying like I don't. It's like I don't know where you think this money would be coming from this other group. From Lord Carlington, I can see it makes sense. He has money. He has money more than anything else. Whether he's willing to give it to us, I don't know.
Money isn't exactly what we want. Like, yeah, everyone has money. Money's fine, but what we could get is
Bitches and
a
tricks.
really good fanatic backing from a bunch of people we really helped, or lots of money. Both are good, but we need to decide which is better.
Yes.
And Hakon, did you not say your people were known to have roamed these local lands, or would you know how to find these nomadic people that
I
may
would,
be
I
disagreeing with
I would definitely be able to find this a tribe or a group of people that are roaming through the forest.
Well, either way, we've got an in. Plus, if we find out what those guys want, and it's within our means, we could build up a good case against Lord Carlington, and it doesn't have to come to blows. We can do it legally. Maybe not legally, but without killing killing a lot of people.
Well, that should always be the aim.
Yeah, and we can play it the right way, and then get these people what they want. Unless
I
they're
do
not
agree with
keen for
Thorne.
our political quid pro quo, in which case, fuck them and we'll burn it down.
I very much agree with Thorne on some of his ideas, in the fact that
Because lightning spells.
we should go and see what this group are about, find out and after that decide what we want to do.
Hakon, I believe we're in your hands now. Then.
Okay, so Graham, I would probably
First things first, I want to go and give this book to the creepy old dude again.
okay.
What book?
The book he just gave us, or the things, the notes.
Oh, like the notes, yeah.
That we should.
Because it could be really good for us to. But first, I'm gonna take down a copy.
Okay.
So
Do you want to read the note?
I'm just gonna read it and copy it.
Okay. It seems to be gibberish.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna literally like trace it. Like I'm not trying to understand it. I'm just
just writing. Okay.
Just make a copy of it to give to the old boy.
Cool. Okay, so you make a copy. Would there be a roll to try and see how good a copy you can make? Do your craft books.
Give me a second. I just have to find.
Wait, sorry. Are you two and Mira going to head back to town? Hand over that book.
Okay. Yeah. So you can make a copy that is not identical, but like it doesn't need to be identical. The information's there. Like the stuff is written down correctly.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go give the guy the copy.
Oh, you're gonna give him the copy, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
And I'm gonna just ask him that we've attained this information that's possibly written in code, that is written in code, and I just wondered if you could help us decode it.
okay.
What does he say?
Well, you just like fast traveling there.
I would have stayed to
Okay.
try and find
But
the.
I
the
assume,
initial-
I'm just gonna say that rather than trying to split up, unless we don't know what they want, we don't know what the Carlingtons want. So until we get that decoded, it won't be really that big a deal.
Oh, I was
So-
merely suggesting that I was going to stay and try and find a lead on their trail, so that when you return to me, I can then quickly find them.
Alright, okay, yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll
So you.
stay with Hakon just for like more security.
So Hakon,
that
are you going to
it's
try
not
and
just
you
simple
right?
people.
Okay. So right. So Mira and Thonan are going back into town to speak to Mr. Barnes
Yes.
to like update him on what's going on.
Yep.
Hakon, Jonas are going to go and look about the forest to try and find traces of.
Yeah, I'm
People
going to try
that are
and
living
find
there.
the start of, or at least the development of, a trail for finding these people.
Okay. Cool.
On my way to Thingy's house, can I roll a perception to see if we're being followed?
Yep. Okay. Where like okay. Well, roll one perception check. Just so you're keeping an eye out as you're walking the whole way there, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, roll one. Okay, so you don't get any kind of feeling that you're being watched, followed, or like anyone's kind of paying particular attention to you. Like there's people that look at you as you're walking through the town and as you're walking out of the kind of like the lumber areas, but again, no one really says anything. No one pays you any kind of great heed. But yeah, so we'll do Mira and Thonan's side first. So you arrive back at the Elder's house.
Right, before we get there,
Mhm.
just like a few houses short, I'm just gonna poke Mira and be like, go past his house and do a U-turn and then go meet up with the other lot. Just in case we're being followed. And then I'm gonna dip into a side alley and cast invisibility on myself.
Okay, she kind of looks at you like. So do you say that you're going to like cast invisibility on yourself?
Yeah, he says I'm gonna sneak in, cast invisibility, and then slyly get into his house just in case we're being followed, cause it could end up bad for him if he gets found out to be helping us when he shouldn't be.
Okay, so she kind of looks at you and she's like, as much as would be fine on my own, I don't know how feasible it looks with having a prospect wandering around on her own.
Alright, fine. Right, fine, come with me, and I'll kind of like tug her into the alley next to me. And so I'm gonna cast
Hug her in.
invisibility on her,
Right.
and then I'm gonna cast alter self on myself. And I'm gonna make myself look like just some fucking random Joe Blog.
Okay. And you're just like round the corner from this guy's house.
Ideally, yeah. Like maybe 2 or 3 houses back, we'd kind of like dip in, and then it would walk out like the gnome, and then just some other, or she'd be invisible, and then just some random other common person would walk out.
Cool. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I'm hopefully I'm gonna do it within a minute or so of his door, and I'm just gonna bother about it lasting until we're inside.
Yeah, it'll last easily. So yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm gonna knock on his door. I'm assuming he knows I'm there because he's some sort of fucking high-level wizard.
I don't think he knows you're there, but he comes to the door and he looks down and yeah.
It's just gonna be a normal person. I'm just gonna be like, yo, sup, it's Thonan. Can I come in, please?
Oh yeah, he's like, I see. He's like, so have things developed or is this just cautionary?
Well, this is cautionary, but we've got some more interesting news that you could possibly help us with, which is why I'm here.
Okay. He's like, very well, come in. He's like, oh, and he just kind of walks round and stands kind of like in front of you, So like as you're kind of like walking in, he stands behind you and like covers you as you're going in.
Mhm.
And as soon as you like step over the threshold, your spell fades and Mira becomes visible.
Cool. I kind of half expected that, to be fair. Cool. So we're in his house, yeah?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I hand him the copy of notes, and I'm saying Carlington's nephew at the lumber mill gave us these when we posed as people who had been hired to deal, quote unquote, with the people who are resenting the deforestation in the local area. So it seems it must have been a problem for some time. But he handed me this, and it's apparently written in his uncle's own code, to quote him. I just wondered if you could have a crack at it.
Okay. So you say all this, and he's kind of like listening away, and he's like, right. He's like, as much as I try to stay out of the kind of like the things that are happening in this town and what it means for the people of the town. Is like, I'm surprised that the Lord's nephew, he said, yeah. I'm surprised he was so happy to accept that you were hired for this purpose. That means that it's something that he was expecting the Lord to do, which is it's very well, not strange, but just surprising. I didn't.
Happy is a strong word.
Mm.
He seemed fairly pissed off about the whole affair because I don't think he was expecting it, but
It wasn't a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, he might have.
Okay.
It wasn't a surprise, but it's not like he was awaiting our arrival keen. Also, by the way, just to kind of retcon it a bit, you said it was written in like gibberish, yeah?
Yeah. It's
I
like
guess-
it's not like written in like the kind of like magic text. It's not written in any kind of like different language. It's literally like a kind of like word code, so that words mean different stuff or they're jumbled or whatever.
Right. Okay, just because I was double checking that language thing, just because I forgot I had quite a few.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not that it's not like an actual language. It's just he's made up some kind of code.
So it's written in common, but it doesn't mean the same as common.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't mean anything unless you know how to decipher it.
Yeah, but that. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, he takes it and kind of looks through, and he's like, kind of like he takes a while to kind of look at it, and like he kind of goes up to his little kind of like desk bit upstairs, comes back down with like a whole load of paper, and kind of sits there and is like comparing stuff and looking through stuff and kind of seeing what's going on. He kind of looks up at you after like probably about an hour or so, and just kind of looks up and he's like, I don't really have much to go on with this. Some of it I'm kind of working out with kind of common words that are shown in certain ways, and some words he hasn't fully like coded. So kind of like shorter words are not coded. So if you put them into a context, it's quite easy to work out some of what's going on. But I can't gain full. I can't decipher it all in this kind of time. I'd probably need more time to work on it if I was to work out all of it. However, and he kind of like says, a few things I've worked out, or a few things I've got so far are a few nouns, a few phrases that are used multiple times, a few things that are used as terms for different things they've got or that they're talking about. One thing that comes up a lot is Carlington himself. Like his name comes up a few times, or what he's hidden as his name. The other things that come up a lot is what I believe is the lumber mill, or reference to the lumber mill. There's a lot of other things to do with the forest. There's a term that's used a lot and he kind of looks, he's like, I'm not sure if I'm translating this correctly, but it seems to be eyes in the forest or eyes of the wood. Something along those lines is used a lot. There's also mention to like problems they've had and disruptions they've had and how they've came from the forest, or how they came from the eyes in the forest.
Interesting. Having been here for about 70 years or 90 years or however long it was, have you, how long has the forestry effort been going on?
Oh, be about 20 or 30 years now.
So, being someone in touch with magic, did you, was there ever any research or intrigue into the forest and its local inhabitants or any kind of magical goings on in there? I'd imagine it'd be druids. It's always fucking.
Yeah, he says I'm more follow the arcane. There's nothing that really There's nothing that really draws me to much that's going on in nature. However, I do remember when I went like years ago before this town was built up. There was maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 houses around here and very few people in a kind of small village. And the forest kind of encroached much closer. It didn't ever go past the hill that now like the Lord's Manor sits on, but it wrapped all the way round to the other side of to like where the kind of like the top of the town is now. And
that's making more sense in my mind now.
yeah, and he says at that time we sometimes saw people who we believed to be either travellers or people who were just coming and going. They would pass through town. They would come with wares and sell them to the people of the village. But I feel that they came through too frequently to be travelling from far. So they could be the people that are now kind of this kind of clan or this group that are still within the forest today.
Okay, cool. That gives me a rough idea. I can see why these people will probably be annoyed. Cool. So I'll just leave you with that. We can play with rough ideas.
Okay. He's like, well, I feel if given enough time, I could fully decipher this, but I'm not sure how quickly you want to act on things or how much time I've got.
Just take your time. We're gonna go have a poke around and see what we can dig up on the other side of the fence. I'll catch you later.
Okay.
Do you reckon you can give us a handout? Like, I kind of motion towards the door because obviously our spells have run out.
Right. Okay. So, I'm trying to think how he would do this. He's like, I see. Okay, and he wanders through to like the back room, and then wanders back through and hands you each a biscuit.
Excellent. Animal biscuits.
Yep.
Payday, so I eat the animal biscuit.
Right. You go invisible.
Excellent.
As does Mira.
Cool. So we're just gonna saunter out.
Cool.
And I wander back to where those two are.
Cool. So you guys head out, and you like head out of town. Like the invisibility seems to be lasting a while, to the point where it's getting worrying. Like you're kind of thinking,
I'm not worried.
oh, Mira's getting worried. Like she's walking, and you're kind of like, I don't know if you're like holding her kind of like holding on to her as you're going, or you're just kind of like, walking and hoping that she's along with you. But yeah, she's kind of getting a bit worried, just being like, shouldn't this have run out by now? But
It can do, but that dude's a fair big magic dick slinger, so
he's
might
old,
last
and that
a
means
while.
he's good at it. Old wizards are always the best.
Well,
Man,
they've stayed alive.
if they get
They're
past
still
the
alive.
seen some
If
shit.
they're still alive, you know they've
Yeah.
seen some shit.
Yep.
So don't worry about it.
Okay, so you guys head towards the. Did you have any kind of plans of where you would meet up or when you would meet up? Was there any kind of like pre-arrangement, or is it just?
Well, I would imagine that once I'd done my first scout around, I would have gone back and then found them.
Right. How are you finding them though? Like you can't just kind of like. Like,
Fine, we'll
Let's say we
we'll
just go
find-
back to where we
we'll
left them.
find-
I
I
literally
was
have
about to
lived
say,
my life
we'll go back to where we left them, and then we'll find those idiots because we're invisible.
okay, so yeah, you go back and you see the two of them just kind of sitting about, and they've obviously like done some stuff, but we're going to cut to you guys.
Okay.
So what did you do?
Right. Well, once they've left, I would have probably headed off to the edge of where
Right down the sawmill.
where the edge of the forestry had been working, and I'd probably looking for when we were told about them. Were we told kind of like what was it we were told about them again?
Told by who?
The guy, the the nephew, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You actually weren't told anything about him from him. He was very vague.
It was more the Mr. Burns was like chatting about how they were nomadic and that you might know them as well because you have where
Yeah.
you're from.
He kind
So
of
we know they're nomadic, and we know that they've got a problem about the forest.
yeah.
So I'd probably head over towards the entrance to the kind of like the edge of the forest,
Mhm.
and start having a look around there to see if I can see any kind of like well trodden tracks, any misplaced sort of basically anything to show that there's been human interaction here of some kind.
Okay.
Would you like me to make a tracking roll?
Is there a tracking roll? I thought it was a survival. Or
Survival, but I have bonuses for tracking.
right. Okay. So yeah, you roll that.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So you kind of head into the forest and you kind of like looking about the usual things you would do of like looking for tracks. You're looking for any kind of like signs of trails, signs of movement, signs of any kind of like settlements that may have been put up recently or like moved about or anything like that.
Just disruptions.
Yeah,
or
you don't
sort of footfalls or anything like that.
you don't really see anything that looks out of the ordinary. Like you can see that there's people who have been through here, but there's no signs that it would be like a large group of people. Like it's more just like it might be some of the people who work in the lumber mill just moving about to like scout out what they're going to do and where they're going to work next and stuff like that. There's nothing that's like obviously been done like that, and there's no kind of like obvious paths they've set out.
Okay. Right. I'm trying to think what I would do next. Next, I would probably progress on to trying to have a look around, maybe towards like the other side of the, like how wide is the thicket where we are?
Well, the forest itself is huge.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't actually be able to like fully explore it in that.
Yeah.
Like basically, okay.
There has to be some way that they are interacting with the lumber mill.
Yeah.
Because they're a problem for the lumber mill.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to find the point where they access the lumber mill in the forest.
Yep. Okay. So.
Okay.
What is it you're trying to like?
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to do. How are you going to do it? Like, what's your next plan of action? If you've not really found any kind of obvious signs of them, where are you going to?
I'd probably just progress along the thicket more towards the like basically following the tree line round where the stumps are, progressing maybe like a 5-yard interval.
Oh right, okay. So you're not actually like inside the forest. You're just kind of looking at the kind of outskirts.
Yeah, like I'm inside the forest, but
yeah,
just on the edge, trying to find if I can see where kind of like if there is there any tracks that don't just like come in and out quite quickly? Are there any that are just going straight into the forest or straight out again?
Okay.
If I mean by that.
Yeah. So as you're kind of going along, you're kind of like there's quite a lot of noise going on with like the people like chopping at the trees and working about the place because you're fairly near the actual operations that are going on. And as you're kind of heading round, you can see that there's a lot of just like the areas on the areas on the ground are quite like they're quite bare. There's just kind of like a lot of the stuff that was nearby, so any of the kind of like plant life or any of the kind of stuff that would be nearby or typically nearby has kind of like either died off or been removed, and it's kind of been like cleared out for this area.
So it's just like fresh stumps, and that's about it.
Well, no, there's still trees, but
yeah, but you know what I mean. It's literally just the tree.
Yeah. And as you kind of go round, like you kind of notice that as you get further around, this becomes less, and the forest begins to look more kind of like natural and more kind of normal. And once you start getting back into that, you start getting kind of more of a sense that this would be the kind of area that they would be kind of working from. This is like the last point where the forest is actually like been untouched.
Yeah, it's
up
still
until
forest.
yeah. So that's probably where, like, if there was any kind of like place that you would think they would come from, it would be that kind of area.
Okay, so that.
But there's not any kind of obvious signs on the kind of forest, the kind of floor of the forest that you can see.
Okay. So then I'd probably is there any way that I would see like maybe like someone could have gone through like branch wise? Like is there any like if I was to climb up one of the trees, would I be able to see any sort of like misplaced branches or any evidence that someone could use that as a path through the trees?
Okay, roll a climb check.
Okay. Hell if I spelled rules correctly. Yep.
Okay, so you kind of like manage to like fumble your way up a tree. You don't get the best vantage point, and you don't really get the best kind of like place. You're kind of more worried about falling off the tree than actually being able to like easily look around. But you get far enough up that you can kind of see roughly around you. You can see slightly higher up than where you are just now, and slightly further into the forest. There looks to be a couple of like kind of areas of the trees that have been kind of like almost like a giant kind of bird's nest that have been kind of like built up to be
Okay.
like an area where you would be able to like sit in.
So like a perch sort of thing.
Literally like a crow's nest.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
I think that's where the term would come from.
Can I see anything in there? Like, is there
You
any
can't
sort of
you can't see anything in it. You can see it. It's like above you. Like you didn't manage to get as high as these are. Like these are a little bit higher. They're near the top of the trees.
Now that I've seen that, can I make another attempt to try and get a bit more up towards it, like up and into it?
You could go down and try and climb up one of those trees. Yeah, you can go try and like see if one of the ones that they're on are like specifically easier to climb.
I would very much like to do that.
Go for it. Your current rolls so far have not been fantastic despite bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
You just said that it's easier to climb these trees.
It is. It is. This one was going to
And
be.
that's like 80%.
Yeah, this one was a 15. So you're right. You can get there.
Okay.
But you're not like flying up though.
No, I wouldn't imagine I would be flying up a tree.
You never know.
I can.
I was going to say someone can. But yeah, you get up and you manage to get up to the top, and there's a kind of like small opening area. Once you get up to the thing, like as you kind of reach it, it almost looks like it's been done. It's been built round like 3/4 of the way,
Okay.
and then there's a kind of small gap with a kind of bit that you can get up and climb up into it. And as you do so, you climb up into it, and you can see that from the spot that you're at, looking round, you can see a lot of the operations from the lumber mill from this point. As you're looking, it's almost as if there's like a clear line of sight down in multiple directions. Like all the trees seem to just nicely line up, and you can see down towards the sawmill, down towards the town, down towards like some of the kind of areas.
It's definitely been designed as a place, as a vantage point.
Yeah, it's been chosen specifically. Yeah. And it looks like something that people who are working on chopping down trees would not either think of or want to do.
Can I, from a vantage point, if I look towards the forest,
yeah,
can I see any sort of like clearing areas in towards the forest? Not like a big area, but like a sort of perch like this one, more towards towards the forest.
Roll another survival check. Right. Okay. That's better. See?
See everything.
Better. That's much better.
You enter the matrix.
You can see that from here there seems to be like as you're kind of looking, you're kind of like right, so this tree to that one. You can see a very obvious like path and a very obvious choice that you would make if you were going to travel between them from up here. And you can see that there's like a kind of clear path that leads further into the forest from the tree that you're in.
Okay.
And you kind of follow it as far as you can see, but then the trees kind of start to like the line of sight starts to kind of like become a bit of a problem, and you can't really see it as clearly. And sorry, and it gets too far into the forest, and Porno's thing's frozen, then gone.
That was possibly one of the best freezes I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, we're gonna have to watch that back then.
It was tremendous.
But yeah, you kind of see this kind of natural
just
path
bored
that
of-
leads all the way through, and you can see it as far as it goes, but it definitely goes quite deep into the forest.
Right, cool.
So from here you wouldn't be able to see where it goes towards, but you can get the rough direction. You kind of know roughly where it's going.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. So I would probably then at that point head back down the tree, go and find Jonas, explain to him that I found like a sort of walkway through the trees, but it maybe
Yeah,
got a bit of
I,
help.
I assume I'd kind
skill
of be
to
like
others.
half following you about as well.
Yeah,
So
you're
know
probably
what I
like
mean?
at the
I'd be
bottom.
like the
Yeah,
bottom of the
I
tree.
just imagine he wouldn't have come up the tree with me.
No, I wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah, so I'd get to the bottom, kind of indicate that we walk back to where we started our little adventure from, and explain to him that I saw the little walkway through the trees. I reckon that's how the people of the forest have been spying on or getting their information on both the town and the lumberyard, and maybe that'll be a good place to start when we're going to track them a bit further.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Right, so you guys head back, and you kind of like you get back, and you don't really see any signs of Thonan or Mira. You kind of sit about for a bit. You're not really just kind of waiting, just kind of like on the outskirts of town where you left them, just kind of
Yep.
at that kind of point. And then kind of after a small wait, what do they hear, Thonan?
Sorry, my voice have they pitched up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you show up like once they've been there for a little while. Like you see them as you approach.
Cool. I'm just gonna walk up and like kind of toe poke Jonas in the shin and be like, "Yo, sup?"
Is he still invisible?
Yeah.
I'd like sup because I've seen him go invisible. Like this would be like the fourth time or something like that he's been invisible. So it's
Yeah,
not-
I can't imagine it's too much of a surprise.
No,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sup.
The old dude's trying to help us out on the notes. Essentially, the gist of what I got is forest people didn't like them building on top of this hill in the first place, and now they're cutting down trees, so that's kind of salt in the wound. So we're gonna go chat to them and probably fill in the blanks and see what they want.
Lovely, lovely. Well, Hakon, I think has found the way we should go. So let's just crack on.
Yep.
Cool. Now,
Yes, so we would explain to them like what we found in the forest area, the little path through the trees and all that, and then suggest that maybe we take a look at that.
cool. So basically, you guys, we can either leave it here because I think if we go any further in, it might cause problems, and it's 5 past.
agreed.
So
Correct.
that'll do us for this week, and we'll pick up next
Till
time.
next week.
Excellent.
Cool.
Tidy!
Till next time.
Next time.